All right, let's talk Tag Heuer. They have just pulled the wraps off a huge 2025 update for their iconic Carrera line. And the focus this time? It's on two of the most wearable models out there, the Day Date and the Twin Time. So let's dive in and see what's new.
You know, to really get why this matters, you have to appreciate just how legendary the Carrera is. It was born back in '63, named after the insane Carrera Panamericana road race. The chronograph version, that's the icon, the watch that really defines the whole collection. It's a true piece of motorsport history on your wrist.
But here's the twist. This year, the big news isn't about the chronograph. Nope. Tag Heuer is giving all the love to what you might call the Carrera's more practical siblings. We're talking about a major refresh for the super clean Day Date and the very useful Twin Time GMT. And believe me, they just got a lot more interesting.
Okay, so let's get into the refresh itself. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Isn't a real Carrera supposed to be a chronograph? And yeah, I get it. But these simpler three-hand versions have their own deep history, and honestly, a really important spot in the modern lineup. They give you that pure, easy-to-read Carrera look for everyday life. And these models are definitely not a new idea. Get this. Tag Heuer was making a Twin Time GMT way back in the 1950s, even before the famous chronograph came along. Then the three-handers made a comeback in the 90s, and the modern versions we're talking about today, those were launched in 2021. So this 2025 update, it's their biggest step forward yet.
So what's actually changed? We're going to break it all down. First up, let's cover the big upgrades that you'll find on all the new models. We're talking changes to the case, the look of the dial, and, most importantly, what's ticking away inside.
It really boils down to three key areas of improvement. You've got a subtly refined case and bracelet, a whole new design language for the dials, and then, under the hood, a brand new, way more powerful engine. And let's start right there with that engine, because it is a genuine game changer.
So, the number you need to remember is this one right here, 80. 80 hours. That's the new power reserve. This is a massive leap in technology. Seriously. It means you can take this watch off your wrist on a Friday evening, leave it on your nightstand all weekend, and on Monday morning, it's still ticking away perfectly. It's totally weekend-proof.
And the powerhouse making this happen is the new TH31 movement. Now, this isn't just some off-the-shelf part. It's a proprietary caliber made just for Tag Heuer by AMT, which is the really high-end specialist division of the famous movement maker Sellita. This is a serious piece of kit.
Okay, now here's a little detail that all you watch enthusiasts are going to pick up on. This same base movement is actually in another Tag Heuer watch, the Aqua Racer, and in that watch, it's COSC certified, which is that official Swiss stamp of high accuracy. But for these new Carreras, they decided not to go for that certification. It's an interesting choice for sure, but the performance underneath should still be fantastic.
Now, moving on to the bracelet, it's kind of a mixed bag. On one hand, you get this awesome new quick change link system that lets you resize the bracelet yourself with no tools. Super convenient. But, and this is a big but for a lot of people, there's no quick change system at the lugs to swap it for a strap. And crucially, no micro adjustment on the clasp to get that perfect fit during the day.
All right, let's zoom in on the watches themselves, starting with the 5 new Day Date models. They come in a few different colors, but they all share this new design philosophy, and you really see it on the dial.
The biggest change is right there on the dial. The 2021 version on the left, it had a clean single track around the edge. The new one on the right, it gets this much wider double track. It also swaps out the old rectangular lume plots for these little luminous dots and adds a neat little arrow at 3 o'clock, pointing you right to the day and date.
So all these changes, especially that wider track, what does that actually do? I mean, how does it change the way the watch looks and feels when it's actually on your wrist?
Well, it's a bit of an optical illusion. By pushing all those design elements inward, the main part of the dial actually looks smaller and more contained, even though the case size is still 41 millimeters. It gives the whole watch this more focused, almost vintage vibe, which is a look that's really popular right now.
And within the Day Date family, there are a few standouts. There's one with a cool black grain dial on a calfskin strap that has this blue lining and a pop of red on the seconds hand. Another has this amazing gradient red dial with a contrasting black Day Date wheel.
And if you want something a bit more luxe, there's a two-tone steel and rose gold plated version.
Okay, now for the Twin Time GMT. And wow, if you thought the day-date changes were big, the makeover here is even more dramatic. This watch has a completely new personality.
So this personality shift comes down to 3 huge updates. First, that old blue and white 24-hour scale is gone, replaced with this really bold new teal and silver theme. Second, the simple stick hour markers are out, and in their place you get these applied Arabic numerals. And finally, the GMT hand now has this bright red tip, so you can spot that second time zone in a heartbeat.
And just look at this side-by-side comparison. It's night and day, right? The 2021 model on the left is sleek, almost dressy. The 2025 model on the right, with those big polished Arabic numerals, is way sportier, much more assertive. It's gone from a dressy travel watch to a full-on traveler's sport watch.
And here's where it gets clever. See how they place those new Arabic numerals inside that outer track, not on top of it? They're using that same design trick we saw on the day-date. It creates that smaller dial feeling, and it's a really smart way to give the whole new collection a consistent, cohesive look.
So that's the complete rundown of the redesign. Now let's get to the practical stuff you really want to know. When can you actually buy one? How much is it going to cost? And what's the final verdict on this whole refresh?
The most important date to circle on your calendar is April 2025. That is when these brand new models are officially set to launch in stores.
And here are the numbers, the pricing in Swiss francs. The day date is going to start at $3,900 on the strap, and that goes up to $4,300 on steel. The two-tone model jumps up to $8,250, and that slick new Twin Time GMT, that will set you back 4,750 Swiss francs.
So let's sum it all up. The huge takeaway here is the massive tech upgrade to that weekend-proof 80-hour power reserve. That's paired with this new dial design that gives the watches a really compact, focused look. The Twin Time gets the biggest visual change by far. The bracelet is better, but it's still missing that key micro-adjustment. And remember, as powerful as that new movement is, it's not CAC certified in these watches. Which brings us to the big final question. By blending that iconic Carrera legacy with a truly modern, high-tech movement and this new focused look, has Tag Heuer actually created the ultimate everyday Carrera? Well, I guess that's something we'll all have to decide for ourselves.